You are getting ready to watch something unique in the entire world.
What if this was a perfect world?
Imagine a world where trans was completely understood.
Imagine a world where we were respected just for being who we are.
Imagine a world where we are not targets of violence and discrimination.
Imagine a world where radical conservatives didn't use trans issues to try and win elections.
To understand this perfect world, it looks like we will need translation. Good evening and welcome to Translation, the world's first trans show by the community educating our allies. It's 9 p.m. Thursday, July 22nd. I'm Tony LIma, CEO of Ariana Center, Trans Latina, Florida. We're proud to sponsor this groundbreaking broadcast coming to you from South Florida to our American and worldwide audience. We need your support. Please help us, as this is the first show in the world to include a complete cast of trans voices. And speaking of those trans voices, let's meet our cast. Let's welcome Misty Eyez. She is the Director of Transgender Services, Women's Services, and Training Education for SunServe, one of South Florida's most important LGBTQ+ nonprofit service providers. She is a highly celebrated and award-winning entertainer, MC, and journalist. Good evening, Misty.
Buenas noches, and thank you for having me. I can't wait to spill the tea and talk about the tea. Now let's welcome anchor Schaffer Zaret. She is a transgender activist, panel speaker, and development professional whose value, dedication, service to her community, and collaboration with a background in project management and coalition building. Her career expands over several areas, including nonprofit legislative and LGBTQ advocacy. She is now drawing from her experiences in her new role as the Director of Development of Pride Lines, South Florida's oldest direct services agency for LGBTQ people, and a grassroots 501c3 nonprofit organization founded by gay and bisexual youth for LGBTQ youth and their allies. Good evening, Schaffer.
Good evening, Misty. Thank you. Great to be here. And let's welcome anchor Gordon Woodworth III. They identify as a pagan and is a genderqueer, non-binary Gen Zer. They are currently a data entry and triage specialist at the nonprofit organization Broward House, a not-for-profit social services organization with nearly 30 years of providing services for our community impacted by HIV and other chronic health challenges. They are now also running an alt-space VR channel called Pagans in Virtual Reality. Good evening, Gordon.
Thank you, Schaffer, and happy full moon to everyone a few days early. Let's welcome Ariana Lint. She is well-known international Latinx trans activist openly living with HIV and president and founder for Ariana Center. Ariana Center is one of the most important trans-focused service and advocacy organizations in our nation. The nonprofit focuses on the services for trans women of color, trans men, and gender nonconforming people in Florida, in Puerto Rico, and in the South. Ariana is also one of the foremost advocates across the country focused on ending the HIV epidemic. Good evening, Ariana.
Hello, how you doing, everybody? I'm ready for the show.
We're ready for you.
Well, that's a good start, so good evening again. Let's dive right into translation. At Translation, we will follow amusing social media trans stories. One is #TransLOL. These are tweets, memes, or other interesting moments created by trans people about the trans community. Tonight's Trans People Are Funny #TransLOL is called Totally Sounds Like Peach, Pitch, Beach. What do you think?
Peach, pitch, beach, bitch.
Exactly.
Well said, honey. Come on. I like that meme.
I like it too, and honestly, I'm so sick of talking about her, so let's just leave it as is. We've called her what she is, and now we can move on to the next
If the
segment.
peach fits.
Exactly, if the peach, pitch, beach. Life's a peach, and so is she.
Absolutely. If we are going to truly explore the trans community, we must also focus on the news. We will bring you the most important news of the week in our segment called Trans is the News. Trans is the News. Serious violent incident. Apologies after anti-trans book mailed to 750 stores. The American Booksellers Association has apologized for an inexcusable error that saw an extreme anti-trans book mailed to 750 stores on International Non-Binary People Day. The national organization came under fire after it sent members a copy of Irreversible Damage, the Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters, a controversial title written by the anti-trans journalist Abigail Shrier, who helped proliferate the debunked concept of rapid onset gender dysphoria. The book describes trans identity as a peer contagion amongst teen girls, perpetrating the idea that being transgender is inherently harmful to youth and something that should be and could be cured.
Abigail, take a seat and talk about experiences that you have, not other people's experiences.
Yes, don't read Abigail book.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a couple things that really irritate me and grind me with this story. First of all, she's only talking about half of the transgender community. Did you notice she was talking about us targeting her children? So what's actually happening is this, I don't know who she is, but she's clearly a TERF lesbian, trans exclusionary radical feminist. And this group of lesbians was founded by trans people that felt that we were turning to studs, which is okay for you to be masculine and a woman. You could be wearing men's clothes, men's hair, as long as you don't take testosterone. So they felt that we as a trans community were turning these masculine stud lesbians into men, and that was violating them. So now they're trying to throw a target at us as a community because we are turning their girls into men. They totally left out the entire trans female population. She's worried about the girls.
But what I wonder is, like, how did this snafu happen? How did these 750 books,
Who
right?
greenlit it?
Right, exactly. That's what we need to find out. Like, where is this
Secret
coming
turf.
from? Secret turf.
But
Exactly.
also, I just hear echoes of history because this is what, white supremacists have said about racial issues over the years. They're coming after our women, our daughters, our children.
Right. What's
Why
out
is
in
there
bathrooms?
a hole
exactly?
in the book? It looks like there's like a finger, like a three-dimensional finger book. See it?
Yeah.
It's like a puppet book. I don't get that at all.
What's the hole for?
On that note, Schaffer, you have the next story.
Trans is the news. California budget includes $3 million to train teachers on LGBTQ issues. California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, approved a final state budget on Monday that includes $3 million for LGBTQ cultural competency training for public school teachers. That makes the state the first in the country to allocate funding in this specific way, according to Equality California, an LGBTQ advocacy group that has pushed for the training for years. The funding will allow the California Department of Education to develop a curriculum aimed at helping teachers support LGBTQ students. The forthcoming training will include topics such as school anti-bullying and harassment policies and complaint procedures, how to identify LGBTQ youth who are subjected to or may be at risk of bullying and lack of acceptance at home or in their communities, and how to find targeted support services for LGBTQ plus students, including counseling services, among other topics.
Yay, a good story. This is an amazing story. And I don't know about you children, but when we were little kids, and I say kids for all of our non-binary people, the teachers were part of the problem. When the kids would pick on me and call me faggot, sissy, queer, mama's boy, whatever the words that came out of their mouth, the teachers would be like, if you just butch up, I was the problem. It was my fault I was being bullied. Now, back when the civil rights movement was taking place and the people were pushing for segregation, the whole reason was because if I can't talk to you, if I can't hang out with you, I'm not going to sympathize to your cause. You're not a human to me. You're something I don't understand. So with education and knowledge as power, these teachers are going to understand the trauma that these kids are going through, and that is vital.
That's the general premise of the show. The reason why we're doing this show is to educate folks, to bring down the levels of misunderstanding, the levels of ignorance. So that absolutely makes sense.
But that is means about the geographic, because everything happened in California. For the trans, they have the support. But what about Florida? In Florida, we don't allocate money to support transgender community or education. They put laws or bylaws who they are against transgender community. So that is so difficult, the difference of work in California and the difference of work in Fort Lauderdale or in Florida.
Right, and this is so overdue. We haven't funded anything on all of these different issues we mentioned, so it's way overdue. But also from a strategic standpoint, people on the other side of the aisle from us, the conservative folks, they're going to fight this type of thing tooth and nail. And I think what California is doing is exactly what we should be doing. Lean into it and fight them.
Yes.
Next, trans is the news. Death threats force transgender magician to cancel library shows. A magician who was set to do a show at 2 small-town public libraries had to cancel her act after she and library staff received death threats from transphobes. Michaela Oz calls herself a rising star in the magic industry and promises that she doesn't do your grandfather's old tricks. She has performed in libraries, birthday parties, business events, and schools all over the country. She has appeared a few times on television and has been featured in major publications like USA Today and the Huffington Post for her act that combines magic and comedy. Someone shared her status as transgender on social media, leading to death threats against the staff at the 2 libraries in Wyoming and her. Her acts had to be canceled by the libraries due to safety concerns.
What a shame that we're canceling someone who just wants to do what they love, perform for people, embrace their passion. This is when communities have to step in, provide safety, provide extra safety in numbers. I don't know, maybe not in Wyoming, but certainly if this happens somewhere else. But this is where we stand in solidarity with the community and let the show go on.
I think it's amazing that this young, beautiful girl is able to let her light shine in a beautiful and unique way. She's not doing the cliche things, because we are a beautiful and vast community. We can do all things. You could be a truck driver, you could be a magician, you can be a drag queen, you could be a pageant queen, you could be whatever you want. And I think this is beautiful. I am super happy for her, but what it is repulsive is that, again, people fear what they don't understand, and people fear what is different from them. And of course, they're targeting the libraries, and they have no choice but to cancel, and that's disgusting.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Trans is the news. Halfway through the year, 2021 is already the worst year ever for anti-trans legislation. Just halfway through the year, 2021 is already the worst year in history when it comes to legislative attacks on trans rights. At least 17 pieces of legislation targeting LGBTQ+ people and trans people in particular have been signed into law in the first half of this year alone. This tops the previous record set in 2015 when 15 anti-LGBTQ+ bills were signed into law. Republican lawmakers and state legislatures have launched this attack, which specifically targets the rights of trans youth in collaboration with right-wing groups like the Alliance Defending Freedom and the Heritage Foundation, which have created model legislation under the banner of protecting America's children.
And let's be clear about this. This is the Republican Party. This is Republican politicians who are informed by a fascist right-wing part of the party. And, to me, my viewpoint on life is very informed by my Druidic beliefs. And part of what we believe is that you should live in the moment and try to do with what you can presently. So right now, what we can do as individuals is, if you have the money, donate to organizations that are fighting this, and vote blue. Vote for the only people that can stop this.
This is another one of those laws that are using the exact thing they're not doing by saying they're doing it. Protecting America's children. If they were really going to protect our children, they would be helping people understand why we're like this. It is genetic. It is biological. This is not a choice. And the fact that most of us struggle with suicidal ideation it's going to be impacted by this law.
Next up, we are going to play a game and learn a bit more about our hosts. We call this Translation Game of the Week. Tonight's game is called Never have I ever. Are you all excited about this? I'm really excited.
I always lose.
Every woman, I've done everything.
So, is that really true? We'll find out in just a second.
What have I
So,
done?
never have I ever passed out drunk in public.
Oh.
Who do we think this is?
I feel
Well,
like I know
it's not
who
her.
this isn't.
I'm gonna say it's gotta be Gordon.
I think Gordon too.
I think Schaffer.
All right, you
Ariana,
just
you
got
weren't
called
supposed to
out.
say anything about that time last weekend?
Never have you passed out in public?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I still think.
All right, so we'll move on to the next never have I ever.
Okay.
Never have I ever gotten anyone pregnant. I don't care what she says. And it's not me.
Ariana got her pregnant.
Schaefer. That's got to be Schaefer.
2 hours, 2 hour pregnant.
2 hours.
Wait, how does that happen? What do you mean 2 hours
But
pregnant?
babies don't live. What are you talking about?
Did you just say but babies
But
don't
babies
live?
don't live.
I was going to say Schaefer's definitely a bottom, so it's you.
The judgment in this
This-
room.
No judgment at all.
Wow.
From one to another. Ain't no
Oh,
judgment.
okay.
All right. So the next never have I ever been to space. That one's not as fun.
everyone.
Who wrote that? That's boring.
I think,
All of us.
unless you're Jeff.
Is Jeff Bezos here? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I
Okay.
think that's Ariana.
Yeah.
All right. The next never have I ever jumped from a plane.
That's
Oh, that's you. Yeah.
These aren't as salacious as I was hoping for.
Well,
jump from a plane. I don't think anyone from this table's jumped from a plane. I don't know.
I kind of want to play too. All right, so now let's find out who said what. So, never have I ever passed out drunk in public. You all said it
I
was
still think it's Gordon.
I think
Gordon.
Gordon.
It is me.
Oh, there you go.
Hey!
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Hello, your daddy didn't raise no bitch. If I'm gonna go out,
Okay, wait. Starting over. How old are you?
I'm 25.
So you've been 4 years old enough to legally pass out in public.
True.
Like I wasn't drinking when it wasn't legal for me to drink.
I'm just saying,
Let's be
legally
honest,
speaking,
honey.
for somebody my age who've been drinking in bars since I was 18, stripping on a pole.
Oh no, I didn't strip on a pole, but yes, I was drinking.
But I'm
around
saying,
that
like,
time.
of course I've passed out in public drunk.
I think he don't remember.
No.
remember what
I
was
know what
that.
I'm doing.
Have you been publicly drunk?
Of course I have.
Never passed out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I've ever passed out in public.
Who else has been publicly
I've been blacked out drunk.
drunk?
before.
Who else has been publicly
Oh,
drunk?
I was drunk many times.
Well, not anymore. She's in AA, so there's that.
Yeah, and she runs a major organization, so she
Oh.
can't be publicly drunk anymore. Anyway,
Just the hookah.
She can do what she wants.
so that was Gordon. I love to know that about you, Gordon. All right, never have I ever gotten anyone pregnant. I don't care what she says.
That's all of us.
I've had my
Solo
scare,
what?
but this isn't about me.
Misty.
Yes.
Misty?
Misty.
I do believe that.
I thought it was Schaefer.
I believe that too,
Well, I should have
actually.
a Jerry Springer love child once, but
But
that,
how
I mean,
how
that
how
was
can be
staged.
Schaffer and you say she's a bottom?
Do I seem like someone that would get a woman pregnant to you?
All right, so who was it? Who was it?
The audience is so confused. Rightfully so.
I'm confused, America. I'm
Okay.
confused as well.
You.
So it is you, Misty.
It is. What? I have a
But
good
you want to
poker
get
face.
pregnant?
No, I don't want to be pregnant. I already told you, but babies don't live. Okay. I was engaged to 3 different women, and I did get married to a woman. But I am the opposite of a gold star lesbian. I have never had sex with a woman. However, in college, one of my high school fiancés called me and told me I was the lovely parent of her child. And I was like, wait, something has to happen before that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we've never done that. And she was like, well, remember that one time in the hot tub? And I was like, no. I almost said her
No,
name.
bitch.
No, mama. I had to send her my DNA to prove that I was not the
Oh
parent
my.
of
Oh
her
my God,
child.
you were almost.
Please
someone's
don't
dad.
invite.
No,
us to a
we
hot
never
tub
had
and-
sex.
and
We didn't even have
Misty.
oral sex. That's the part that gagged me. Like, because I was a hardcore Christian, and I was like,
did she
the
think
Bible
that
says you can't have sex until marriage, and that's why we cut off the wedding 2 weeks.
But you were naked in a hot
Everything
tub?
happened when she was in the church.
She was, I don't know. She
All
was,
the
Oh, that
I
was
think
the
she was
problem.
desperate to have a good, stable father. of
And
her
sex
child.
education is so important.
Well,
clearly.
she was way off.
way off base.
On that note, thank you, Misty, for your honesty.
You're welcome.
Never have I ever been to space. What a boring, like,
That's got to be Ariana.
Come on,
I'm sorry.
Ariana.
I'm
Ah!
sorry, that's Ariana.
no, I think,
I think you prejudge my intelligence.
We all prejudge.
Was it you?
No.
Oh,
Then it was
you?
Schaefer.
It was. I haven't.
Shay, I'm
Space
disappointed.
is on them. I know. Sorry, it's a total fail.
you were having like
I
a
haven't.
Jeff Bezos moment.
I was the only one that
Well,
put actually
surprisingly,
something
no one here at this
embarrassing.
table has been to Space Ma'am, so you're not special.
Let's move
Unless
on.
you mean like,
What kind of space?
I feel like you
What kind
should.
of space are we talking about?
Wait, hold on, Shay. I feel like you should do your never have I ever all over again. Like for
But-
next
but-
week, let's
okay,
prepare
so
more.
Can we clarify? When you say never have I ever, are you supposed to put something that you haven't done but you want to do, or that you've done but you haven't done?
I think if it would have been interesting, it would have been.
If you would have been interested.
Let the
Does
viewers
30,000
thinking about what's going on, what
Is there a
likes you.
chance that you have done that? Like, for example, I was engaged to 3 women. I was married to a woman. There's a chance I could have like 12 kids out
that's
there.
true. And the hot
But there
tub
is no
moment.
kids
And
for
the-
me.
And the hot tub moment.
and I have never passed out drunk in public, but I've carried lots of bitches home who are drunk in public.
All right, so
Okay,
next time, Shay.
I
Next
promise
time.
better one next time.
Last one.
And never have I ever jumped from a plane.
Myself.
That was also boring, Ariana. I just have to.
I just put it because I have one of my friends. She just coming from Aruba, and she was.
She has?
Yes, she jumped.
I almost went skydiving.
And that is what I want to do it, but I don't know if I can.
I would go
fun.
skydiving. My fear is when you're first time skydiving, you have to go tandem, and I might get pregnant. So
You definitely
You
will.
definitely want to be
But
pregnant.
No.
babies,
I
no,
know.
it doesn't
No,
work
but
that
for
way.
real, I am a large and lovely woman. I'm of size and girth.
Gorgeous.
And how is a person going to, like, can you imagine a 12-pound person being tandem with me? Like, how would they save my life? I will never go bungee jumping, though, because I'd be afraid the rope's going to
That I'm afraid of too.
But I would go skydiving, yeah.
Maybe we should all do it together.
Yeah.
Have like a cast
That's a
field
show,
trip.
bitch.
You don't want to
Yep.
wear a hot man like a backpack?
Mama, I
I-
will.
Ooh.
I will. But I just need to make sure that he's going to be able to stop me from smashing into the ground like a pancake.
On that note, at Translation, we examine what the trans community as people experience in our world. This next segment is called First Impressions of Trans People, What We Face. As people become more comfortable with discussions about sexuality, it becomes apparent that many people still do not understand gender identity. So our What We Face topic is what the LGBTQ plus community does not understand about the T. Misty, tell us about what we face.
The drama. My siblings in the LGBTQ community, the first thing you need to understand is we are struggling with so much. First of all, we don't choose to be this way. The choice is, do I love myself? Do I accept myself? Do I struggle? Should I modify? Many of us, you'll notice, have covered ourselves in tattoos, so we look and appear to be super masculine to the world. Many of us have joined the military or football, or Caitlyn Jenner's joined the athletics and sports. I joined the church and the ministry. Oftentimes we try to run and hide from ourselves to fight ourselves, and yet we still can't. You're going to wake up one day and you're still going to be you. You're going to look in that mirror one day sober and be like, oh my goodness. Then we struggle with suicidal ideation. But what's worse is today I've struggled with 2 clients all day long. 2 of my clients are really bad, struggling right now with homelessness. People do not like us living next door to them. People do not want us living in their buildings. People do not want us to have a safe roof over our head. And then how can you pay for it if nobody will give you a job? Homelessness is a huge plague in our community, and that is something we face.
Ariana, you're next. Tell us about what we face.
Well, as an expert in the transgender community, and we developing and we conducting studies in South Florida or in different cities, we already know what the transgender community faces. And actually, in South Florida, we have three big issues. One is the housing, opportunity for employment, and access to healthcare. That is the three big issues for transgender community we faces. And we ask to the whole community helping us to lift up the transgender community and give us a chance to opportunity to have a job and everything that we face.
Shay, it's your turn. Tell us about what we face.
I think one of the things we face in some ways, and I found this with allies and other members of the LGBT community, is that what we face sometimes is in tandem with some of the things that you face too, or that you are facing. I'm not that far removed from you and your reality and your experiences. Some of them are drastically different, but there are takeaways that I think can unify us and can close the gap when it comes to misunderstandings in the community. So take a moment to think about it. And when you're thinking about a policy that you're wondering why that needs to be changed, take a look at your life too and see what's been easier, what's been harder. Where is there room for us to connect?
Gordon, you're up. Tell us about what we face.
So yeah, I mean, in regards to what we face and in regards to what I want the rest of the community to understand about us, specifically non-binary people, is that we're not like you. We are different. And you need to stop assuming things about us. You look at me and I look one way, but that doesn't mean that my pronouns are a certain way. That doesn't mean that, you know, my existence is what you expect. And even something you have to understand about us is even I, sitting here, deal with imposter syndrome because we're constantly told that this is not something that's real. It doesn't exist. There's no bathroom for me to pee in. There's no correct gender that I can add to my license. We've talked about this before. If you want to be an advocate to the community, you have to listen twice as much as you talk. And you have to understand we are not the same as you.
Listening and understanding. It's a great, great key message. Up next, this is our trans issue of the week. Each week, we will focus on what we think the entire trans community is talking about. Pornhub's parent company, MindGeek, has announced they are shutting down XTube. This is one of the oldest creator content websites where people could upload their videos to make money. So our translation issue of the week is millions of LGBTQ plus affected as XTube adult site announces it will close. What do we think about this?
I want to know why we're not talking about it, and I want to know why...
Mary, we're talking about it right now.
We are talking about it, but I want to know why the general populace isn't talking about it.
When was this announced? I don't even know.
Exactly.
It might have
because
been
it's not
announced
being
today.
talked about. Right. So what I'm saying is we talk about business all the time in the news, but we don't talk about the sex industry. And why is that?
Well,
Because there's a prejudice against it.
it's taboo. There's shame attached. People don't want to talk about the ways in which they get off or the ways in which they access content that maybe it is their kinks or their fetishes. They keep that secret and locked up. And so I think it also leads to the idea of like, well, I'm not going to fight it if they're going to take it away.
I want to know why this is happening. I'm sure they're making money from this. Are they not making money suddenly? Like, why? And it's not just LGBTQ people this is going to affect. There's a lot of straight porn on XTube. Not just gay porn or trans porn or whatever. There's porn. It's porn. Everybody porn. Everyone masturbates until you get on testosterone blockers and then you stop. But just saying, most people masturbate. It happens. And isn't there like a financial aspect?
I think they're trying to create a monopoly.
Well, and I think this is a really important story because it's going to affect thousands and thousands of sex workers out there, people in the trans community and the non-binary community that are going to be affected. Their livelihoods will be affected. And we were just talking about how discrimination in the workplace is a huge issue for the transgender community. So let's talk about that a little bit.
And this is somewhere they could actually work.
Exactly.
Maybe they have a more popularity like the OnlyFans. That's why they give a space for a new space like OnlyFans. They are more transgender friendly. The trans workers, transgender people, they work over there. They work more safe and they make more money. And the other one maybe they don't use it. So I don't know. But I think it's all the time when we're working about sex worker or sex industry, is going to be other way.
Yeah.
They close one window, they're going to be open a door. So maybe it's going to be soon other.
Well, thankfully, there's an OnlyFans, so the girls can still
OnlyFans
work.
now.
But OnlyFans has its issues too.
Well, nobody's perfect.
It does, but I think
But you're
to,
right.
to Ariana's
Not than Grindr.
But to your point too, Ariana, I think that there's been this cultural embracement of OnlyFans as kind of a, I wouldn't go as far as to say cool and hip, but it's kind of been a social norm on TikTok and other social media apps. It's become kind of a standard way to look at how people monetize creating content. And I think that that also leaves traditional porn sites left out as kind of being kind of an antiquated way to get off, really.
So I also think there might be something positive that come from this. Maybe now the people that are putting things on XTube can go back to being actual porn stars. Because I remember when XTube first came out, most of the porn companies stopped paying their models because nobody was buying the DVDs. Nobody was buying their content. They were getting the free-ish content on XTube. So that could be a positive spin.
Yeah.
So this week, we have a second trans issue of the week that we would like to discuss. Recently, in that advice column, Dear Ashley, a woman told the story of finding her boyfriend on Grindr. When she confronted him, he said he wanted to see what a transgender woman looked like. So our translation issue of the week is how Grindr and LGBTQ plus apps respond to trans people.
Terrible.
Yes.
Terrible.
So if you are reported for being transgender on apps like Tinder, for years your account has just been kicked off, blocked, deleted. But now one of my clients told me that Tinder has the very gender variance. However, they still keep getting kicked off.
It's terrible because sometimes I have account in Grindr, and also I see so many people, they have a picture for transgender, like example in bathing suit, and they canceling the picture. They don't want to show the picture, but you can see guys wearing nice bikinis and show everything, and they don't put. And I think it's because Grindr don't have a transgender employees or transgender people who they management the account, so they don't understanding. They make welcoming, but they don't understanding what happened.
Note to Grindr that you're discriminating trans people.
I think that
Not just Grindr.
Yeah, I think, well, Grindr in particular, I think is a big like battleground for fetishizing trans women in particular. You see them on there a lot. I have a Grindr profile, if you can't tell. And it's really disgusting, honestly, because you'll see men on there that are talking about trans women in a very, very dehumanizing way. And the app doesn't regulate that at all. They're fine with it. And, you know, even for non-binary people, you know, I've had a lot of negative experiences there because, yes, they do give you the option to choose your correct pronouns, but they also give you the option to write whatever you want in there. And sometimes people will be like, this is fake, you're he or him, and Grindr doesn't do anything about that. And I cannot tell you how many times on my profile it says, I'm non-binary. These are my pronouns, everything, it's very clear. People will always reach out to me and say, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah, some
Yeah,
people
I
they
mean,
say hi.
Well, they don't read. They don't read.
Not everybody reads.
Girl,
I mean,
they look at pictures. That's it.
Okay,
That's the
but if
dating
you
app.
want to read this, honey, you gotta
But did you hear what Ariana just said? Ariana said that she's been called handsome.
Hanson, yes, they say,
Right?
hello, Hanson. I said, what is going on?
Block.
Sometimes,
Yes.
But also, in Grindr is a lot of straight guys or curious guys.
That is
They're
true.
going to be, and they hating the account, but anyway, they looking for transgender or looking for her dreams or her.
Which is
And they
about
can do
this
it.
story. Straight guy goes on Grindr to see what a trans woman looks like.
'Cause he doesn't have
wanted
Google.
to see what a trans woman felt like. If you want to look at a girl, you can go on, I'm gonna say Grindr, Google.
But you know what? This is the problem when straight people or people they say, "Oh, I want to be curious and I have I want to try or want to see what is when a transgender happen." And you know what? This is what happened. If one guy have a intimate when a transgender, and it's only once, maybe he's straight and the entire life. But if you're going to be second chance or second, oh, I want to figure out more. No, you like it.
Well,
you like transgender, so you
It
don't
depends.
have to.
But that doesn't make
If I
you
were to
gay.
have sex with a woman,
Yeah.
and we just talked about the fact that I've had many opportunities, but if I would have, I'm not suddenly a lesbian because of that one experience. I would
Yeah.
be a lesbian if I'm seeking that, if I'm desiring
I
it.
talk
Exactly.
about the guys.
You can
I like
fix a
talking about
pipe
the
that
guys-
doesn't make you a plumber.
They're
You
visiting
can
me.
suck a dick that doesn't make you gay.
But also, I'm a woman and he is straight.
And I have to say, I was
Straight guys, she's single.
I am single, and as you can see on camera, in color, I'm a real person, verified on
And
both.
she don't have a Grindr account.
And she can't
No
get
Grindr
pregnant.
account, but
She
I'm
can't bleed on your bed and she can't get pregnant.
Oh my God.
there's never a time of the month. But I will say that
She's always moody.
I'm verified on Tinder and Hinge. No, I will say the app overall, it's been nice to have a place to try and meet people that I think is receptive and responsive to my pronouns, my identity. But there is ignorance out there. I've had conversations with people that I match with that say, I'll only date a biological woman, or, you're not a real woman. And I
Not
use
all
it-
biological women can get pregnant.
Right. I mean, I use it as a moment, as a teaching moment. Then they unmatch me, or they say, "Oh gosh, you're PMSing," or they use some kind of degradative, disparaging remark to me. But I will say overall that it is a complicated thing. To Gordon's point, there's a lot of fetishization, and
It's a hard word.
My
It-
last
Fetishization.
comment,
Yes.
my last comment is there's a huge crabs in a bucket mentality as well on these apps. Remember Craigslist? The girls would report each other's profiles because they didn't want the other girls to make money. They wanted to make money. So I think a lot of the girls are also reporting the accounts on Grindr and getting these accounts taken down.
Next up, the mission of Translation is to give our beautiful trans community the voice they deserve. So this is our segment called What's on Your Mind? I am going to ask each of the unique and diverse hosts to tell us what we should be thinking about this week. Here we go. Misty, what's on your mind?
I think we should be talking about love. And the fact that you're watching a transgender show right now with people that are not that different from you. Do you love your brothers? Do you love your sisters? Do you love your non-binary siblings? Are you afraid? There's no need to be afraid. We are people, we are human, and we bleed just like you.
Oh, that was beautiful. And I didn't even have to hit the bell.
Ta-da!
Although I wanted to.
I'm on time, all the time.
Ariana, you're next. What's on your mind?
In my mind, right now in my mind is my country, Peru. We just have pronounced the new president of Peru, and is from socialist or a communist or something. So it's
Yeah.
very difficult, and it's a hard 5 year for Peruvian LGBT and especially transgender people if they live in my country. And that is one of the reasons I'm immigrant or I come into United States, because I want to be freedom and I want to be that. So that's what I'm in my mind, my country right now.
I love doing that. Schaffer, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is about visibility and about activism. And for so long, I've felt that visibility and activism are kind of the linchpin of how I have to live my life. But I rarely sometimes see modern day the cost of that. And I came across a transgender activist on LinkedIn today who wrote a whole post about how she's been an activist since 1985 and literally lost everything because of it. Her car, her house. And it got me thinking about what it means and what the true sacrifice of being visible in our community, what it equates to and what it represents, and it's a lot to think about.
Gordon, what's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is mental health. One of the things that we deal with a lot in the transgender community is suicidal ideation. And even recently, we've been watching the news and they've been talking about how amongst the youth, there's a lot of suicidal thoughts across the age ranges, and it's very high amongst transgender people. And I've lost 2 people close to me to suicide, and I have dealt with suicidal ideation myself. And it's something that I just want to tell people, I love you if no one else loves you, and you should know that you're loved. And if you have nobody to talk to, that's an illusion. You do. There's people around you. There's people you go to work with, school, church, whatever. You are loved, and you deserve love.
I almost don't want to hit the bell,
I know.
but I'm going to.
We love you.
20 seconds over.
Up next, we are going to do a lightning round of some of the trans topics in the news. We call this segment Trans Poppin' Fresh. So we are going to tell you a headline in the news this week and discuss it. But there's a twist. We only get to discuss it for 1 minute. Everyone understand?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Cisgender guys often get all the attention with their shirtless pics, especially in summer. So Trans Poppin' Fresh headline, 15 shirtless, non-binary, and trans mask celebs to quench your thirst.
Oh, I can't reach my water. It's under the table.
I want each and every one of them to choke me.
Gordon, you are just bringing a level of edge to this show that we haven't had before. I'll just say that.
Hot.
And I love to see all bodies celebrated. I love to just see it. I mean,
So when I was living my life pretending to be male and presenting male to the world, I used to say strictly dickly. That was my thing. Strictly dickly. I am engaged to a woman, but I'm strictly dickly. I've never had sex with a vagina. However, I realized I was pan when I fell in love with my first trans guy and realized he was assigned female at birth. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I could do that, but I would.
And you was shirtless?
He was shirtless, not me.
yeah, that's the
I mean,
takeaway. Yeah.
That's the point. Anybody can sit on your face.
When you're attracted to men, you're attracted to men. And that's some fine men right there.
It is.
Woo!
Yeah.
When this year's Emmy nominations were announced, MJ Rodriguez became the first transgender person to be nominated for a lead acting role for her portrayal of Blanca in Pose.
Woo.
I love Latina
Bravo.
power.
So Trans Poppin' Fresh headline, MJ Rodriguez's Emmy nomination is hopefully just the beginning for on-screen trans visibility.
It is just the beginning.
I hope it's just the beginning.
Yes.
And the fact that we are being nominated, but unfortunately, I think that the first nomination's never the one that wins, and I would love it if she won.
But
See,
the
I
other,
don't
the other,
think she
the
won.
other, the other actress don't was nominated for the same Emmy.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
No, I think it's a different
What is the
category.
Laverne.
Oh, Laverne.
No,
This year?
No, last year.
Oh, yeah, a
Year?
while
No,
back,
never?
yeah.
Mira, this is the
okay.
first lead
Oh, I
actress.
love it.
Lead actress.
Lead actress. Lead
I
actress.
think I
Shade.
have to be.
I think
because
Laverne Cox might
I
have been
saw-
nominated for
Supporting.
But-
for supporting.
But
okay.
let's hope that this sets a precedent for people who are on and off screen, because trans people aren't recognized at all.
True.
And I don't want to
And
read the
they're not being
headline that says,
cast.
oh,
They're
this is
not.
the first ever. I want it to be like, these are the winners, and oh yeah, a few of them, it just so happens that they're also
How many years
trans.
did it take before Halle Berry won
Exactly.
an
Right.
Academy Award?
Exactly.
And, you know,
Right.
it catapults them just being nominated now. And anything
Sure, that's
that-
awesome, but give her the thing.
Right, but
Yeah.
anything now she's a part of, it's Emmy-nominated actress. You know, I mean, it just adds to that
Yeah.
behind the name.
Give the credit where it's
You know what's really exciting? MJ Rodriguez is an amazing actress.
Yes.
And we should all be so proud because
good.
she
She made
is
me
not
cry.
only a transgender person, she's a Latina. And,
And
she's
she made
an
me cry.
Afro-Latina.
I'm next.
On that note,
Time's up.
I love this bell. Many trans men identify with the bear community. Even the most recent international Mr. Leather, Jack Thompson, and international Mr. Boot Black, Chris Lee Dumond, who are both trans men who associate with the leather and bear communities. So Trans Poppin' Fresh headline, Bears in Lauderdale major new South Florida event. Watch this.
Woof, 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 woof.
Where are the pictures of Jack Thompson and Crisley Dumond?
Listen, I'm not even worried about their pictures. I want to be at this event.
Me
This
too.
looks amazing.
Do you guys know what bear soup is?
Yes. Is that like a pool party with all the bears in the pool?
I feel like I've been part of bear soup
Yeah.
before.
I want to be in the bear suit.
This just
Bear
in,
soup.
local news. This used to be Papa Bear, and I used to be Mama Bear, and we used to do a bear event in
And
Fort
he's a
Lauderdale.
transgender?
Called Bear
I'm
Nation.
talking about Tony.
Yeah, that's true.
And
was-
now he's Papi Rico.
Oy, thank you. I like that.
Rico.
I do have to
Wow.
say, but I feel like
Rico.
everyone knows at this point, I was the #1 bear who we love in South Florida in Hotspots magazine 3 or 4 months back.
Even though he's not a bear anymore.
Even though I'm not really a bear, I've lost a lot of weight, but I'm an otter. We
Yeah,
had this
he's trying to be
conversation.
an otter now.
Yes, otter.
Staying relevant, keep going.
Yeah, so
I'm trying to do a
we're
club.
all going to be at this Bears in Lauderdale event.
You there?
Yeah, absolutely. When President Biden signed an executive order ensuring Title IX protections also include students who are LGBT, conservatives had a fit. So trans pop and fresh headline, angry parents disrupt school board meetings across Virginia to protest trans students' rights.
For Christ's sake, get a hobby. That's all I can think about these people. Don't you
Again.
have real things to be mad at?
Protect your children. These kids are getting bullied and beaten up and threatened. How many times have I shared or seen videos of trans kids getting kicked, tripped, beaten up at school?
And I will say too, some of my background is in local politics, and the unfortunate part of this, well, there's two things. The first is that just in alignment with like the critical race theory debate, we're seeing this kind of censorship in the classroom, censorship in our local communities that's going to spread outward. And also, look, if you can go on a Thursday at 11 in the morning to a meeting and sit there for hours, you've got privilege. You don't have to have a job. You don't have to work. And the people that need to be at those meetings speaking up, unfortunately, can't get there.
Afford it,
And
yeah.
it's
Right, and remember that this is all planned, you guys. Like, these are minions that are following the directives of the
course.
conservative GOP.
Of course.
That's where this is all coming from. It's not real, it's not organic, it's
No.
all contrived.
Yes.
Fresh off of Trump's golden child, Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a man in a dress, gubernatorial candidate Caitlyn Jenner is still on Team Trump. So trans pop and fresh headline, Caitlyn Jenner said she would support Trump if he ran for president in 2024.
Oh, God.
Oh,
I
good
cannot
for
stand
her.
it.
She can't
can't
even
with her.
support her
Well,
own campaign.
you can surprise if many transgender support Trump if they coming up.
I would say, Mama, focus on yourself
Thank
and
you.
focus on your own
see
campaign. But
that?
isn't she getting ready to go overseas?
Yeah, she's
do-
going to do Celebrity Big Brother because she wants to be her Celebrity Big Brother.
I don't even get that reference.
In Australia.
She wants to be Trump.
Oh,
In
Trump to be-
Australia.
Whatever.
Well, we can have a president, transgender president.
You know what? I love Caitlyn Jenner. For the
Not
record,
her.
I love her. I don't like what she stands for. I don't at all. And I think that she's wrong. Period. But you know what? We as trans people are often wrong.
Yeah. Human beings are wrong.
I like her.
I'm just hoping that we get to see Sharon Needles do her again.
She's just wrong like all the time is
Yeah.
the problem, right? On that note, well, that's it. Translation. This unique forum is a first ever experiment to bring the trans community voice forward. Whether the news, politics, healthcare, mental health, entertainment, and the countless other streams of the trans community and your lives, Translation will be here to explore it all, to talk about it, to laugh and to cry. We are in this together. You are not alone. We end tonight's show with what we call Translation Challenge, to simply help the trans community to have an opportunity to say goodnight to each other, to remind us how incredible the world of trans really is. And we'll start with a good night from Misty Eyez.
Misty Eyez.
I was going to do that, and then I'm like, I can't do that. Misty Eyez.
I don't know why I felt it from you. I
Yeah,
felt
it was coming.
Children, if you're watching this show right now and you've made it this far, please do not forget to subscribe. We need you to subscribe, to like, to share. But also, if you are transgender and you are watching this show, know that you are not alone. We are just like you. And if you're a fan or an ally or an advocate, please, we need you even more. Thank you for watching.
A good night from Ariana Lint.
Well, I want to say thank you so much because Mike, what I want to say about subscription you did
Oh, I'm
before,
sorry.
you say before, but I just want to say to everybody or to the gay and lesbian community and people that watching this show, please share the show, please subscribe also, helping us because we need help. A lot of we made this show with a lot of passion, and we just want to this going to forward. So just keeping eyes on us and watching us and support us because this is going to do from the bottom of our heart.
A good night from Schaffer Zaret.
Yes. So when I think of good night and I think of bedtime and going to sleep and I think of dreaming and sleeping, I get to live my dreams. I get to dream out loud, if you will. And so no matter where you are, share your dreams. Share them with me. Share them with us. Let's dream out loud together.
And finally, a good night from Gordon Woodworth III.
Well, I'm always going to bring it back to, again, I'm a druid, and in 2 weeks, we're going to be celebrating Lunasa, or the whole pagan community is. It's on August 1st. It's a celebration of the harvest. It's all about the abundance of life, and I like to bring this up as an example to remind everybody, take a moment and appreciate what you have. Look to the people that love you. Look to them for support. And I'll say it a million times, if no one has told you that they love you, I love you, and you're not alone.
We're also loving today. I'm really feeling this moment. I really am. And to Ariana's point from earlier, if you like our show, please share our show. This is a labor of love. We're all here doing this weekly. Now we're going to go monthly very soon to make sure that we are educating our allies, to make sure that we start to bring down the barriers that exist with prejudice and discrimination against our transgender community.
And you can sponsor us.
You can
you work for
sponsor
somebody who
us.
could sponsor.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's it, America. And a special good night from Ariana Center, the sponsors of TRANSlation. And just so that you all know, we have our very special 6th anniversary celebration coming up on Thursday, August 12th, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Center for Spiritual Living. We're going to have delicious food, open wine bar, a cash bar as well, and tickets are only $25 because they're being subsidized by a very generous donor. This event is being sponsored by the Miami Dolphins and the Football Unites program. We're very excited to say that. So buy your tickets. Go to the Ariana Center Facebook page. You can buy your tickets there, and we hope to see you.
As we said, we need your help to support this broadcast. We would like to invite you to reach out to sponsor us, to like us, to share this amazing show. Are you going to help the trans community?
Hey, L's, G's, B's, and Q's, are you going to support your T's, damn it? If you believe trans rights are humans' rights, like I do, TRANSlation is for you.
Share this broadcast, talk about it, like it, and tell the entire LGBTQ plus community and our allies that there's something new.
Fox News cannot be the only voice. Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham cannot be the only ones who define us. The trans community deserves more.
We hope you agree. If you do, we will see you every Thursday night at 9 p.m. providing TRANSlation. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.